Hello guys and welcome back to the Northeast Updates YouTube channel, and we're here bringing you some breaking news hot off the press. Sky Sports have officially just announced it, but it's been doing the rounds on all national press, so you can imagine there is some truth and validity in this. Bayern Munich, obviously international giants, European giants, are interested in signing Newcastle right back 33-year-old Kieran Trippier, and I want to weigh up the pros and the cons of this, what the Newcastle board will be doing right now. Let us know your thoughts on it as always at the bottom, and we'll jump into the video now. Okay then, so before I jump into the video, I just want to kind of mention my whole thought process of this, because it's not necessarily a traditional fan. So as well as running Northeast Updates, obviously it's just small on YouTube. We are just trying to grow the channel. If you are watching this, give it a like. It does obviously massively help, and subscribe. But we have a massive Facebook following. We also run a company called Any Offers. We also have a bubble football company where we run lots of different activities for Stag and Hens. We have staff that we have to look after. So I'll look at this from a business perspective. So what you're not getting here is you're not getting the traditional fan who only cares about what happens on the pitch. I've always been interested in the financial side of it, always been interested in Football Manager, looking behind, buying and selling at the right times and stuff like that. It all massively interests me. So you're going to get a little bit of a perspective, not necessarily just from a pure Newcastle fan, but also from the business perspective as well. So before I get into it, I just kind of want to sing the praises a little bit of Kieran Trippier. He is one of our best players. Even though he's suffering a little bit of a dip in form, he is one of the best Newcastle players. Almost one of the best right backs, if not the best right back that Newcastle will have ever had in their existence. To give him his credit, to give him his flowers, he was the first one that jumped ship. Now, Newcastle were fighting in a relegation zone. If you remember, we'd just been taken over. We had all of this money, but we would struggle to get anyone who really wanted to join, an almost sinking ship at that time. It looked like Newcastle were nailed on at that point to go down. We only managed to sign Chris Wood and some others. Kieran Trippier was the first statement signing. So he came to Newcastle when no others would, okay? He's owed a lot of credit for that. Now, if you watch interviews with him, he has cited that his wife and family wanted to come over back to England, and it could just be that Newcastle were the right team at the right time. Now, it doesn't matter why he's come to Newcastle. The fact is he came when we're in a bit of a perilous predicament, and he's dragged Newcastle up. You can see the influence he has on and off the pitch. Now, Newcastle United on their YouTube, they released a video when Anthony Gordon signed the club. You've seen Kieran Trippier go into the locker room, meet him, say, if there's anything you want, anything you need, let me know. Full leadership attributes that the guy's got. He's absolutely fantastic, not only on the pitch, but off the pitch. So I just want to get that out there. I'm personally a huge fan. He is one of the best players for Newcastle. He still chips in with loads of assists. He's a fantastic player, and he does have tons of Champions League experience. However, it would be amiss if I didn't talk about the temporary form that he's had. Now, ever since he's left England, he left England for an international game to come back because he cited personal problems. Now, there's a lot of rumours going on in the press about what that is to do with his family and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into it because it is just rumours. There's no way anyone can really know that. But if we're talking about it from a purely footballing perspective, his form has never really been the same for Newcastle since he's come back. He's had the occasional 30 minutes and 40 minutes here where it's been fantastic, and it's looked of Kieran Trippier of the old, but since then, he hasn't really looked the same player. Now, it depends on what type of the camp you sit in. Do you sit in the camp where it is just temporary and he will get better, which I personally am in, or do you sit where the fact that he is 33 years old now, and no matter how good of a player you are, your legs go, your whole thing goes. It doesn't matter. You can't compete with Mother Nature. What side of the camp are you in? Do you think it is just a bit of a temporary form, or do you think he's likely to improve and get back to Kieran Trippier as soon as them off-the-field issues are sorted? Now, one of the other things that's worth mentioning as well is Newcastle now are no longer in the Champions League. We're back to playing one game a week, so we don't necessarily need the fattened squad that we would at the start of the season when we had Champions League football and we're looking at playing twice a week. Also, what's worth mentioning is Tino Livramento. Now, he was signed in the summer as almost a bit part player. He was probably told, you're not going to get ahead of Kieran Trippier. You're not going to get a load of game times. You'll rotate when Kieran's legs are going, and we've got other games to play around with. You'll be second choice. Due to injuries that we've had throughout all of the squad this season, he's been asked to play a multitude of positions. He's been left back. He's been right back. He's even had a game where he was up top as a right winger. Every single time he's been on the pitch, he's impressed me massively. He's got a couple of man of the match performances. He's been fantastic. So if Kieran Trippier does go down injured or gets sold at any point, we've got a ready-built right back who's great quality who can fit right in and do the job for us. And as of recording, it doesn't look like Newcastle are going to get Champions League football. We might even struggle to get Europa or European Conference League next season. If we don't qualify for that, obviously we're not going to need a massive squad in the next season. So the squad justifiably needs trimming. You won't be able to have all of that income with Champions League football and stuff like that to stay within FFP that you would if we'd have qualified. And obviously you can have an inflated squad, wages, all that different stuff. Kieran Trippier, I've mentioned it before, he's 33 years old. Now, as a footballer, that's pretty much when you start declining. Not many players play at the Premier League age 33 on a regular basis. Now, not only is it not playing, it's a case of your value's going to go down massively. As soon as you hit 33, if you're still a sellable asset, you've done fantastic in your career to not only have that longevity, but you've obviously done stuff off the pitch to stay that well. You've obviously treated football very, very serious. Now, because he's 33, this is probably going to be the last window that Newcastle are going to be able to cash in for any sort of value. Once he hits 34 and stuff like that, it's going to have to be a free. No club is really going to want to take a gamble on someone who's 34 for any sort of value, because then they're only going to get 6 months, 1 year out of them. So this is the last chance really that Newcastle have got to be able to cash in on him. Now, why would Newcastle, the richest club in the world, want to cash in on a player? Now, if you haven't been watching, Darren Eales came out. He did a massive interview just a week ago, and he said that Newcastle might have to be forced into selling one of their star players to meet financial fair play. Now, if you look at Newcastle, we mentioned this in the last video, there's a ton of sellable assets at the moment. You've got Botman, you've got Isak, you've got Bruno, you've got a few others. None of them Newcastle are going to want to lose. If you look at it, if you forget the football inside of it for just one moment, and if you look at it from the commercial standpoint, you've got a youth player with Botman. He's still so young. Bruno's obviously in the prime of his career. All of the star players are at sensible ages where they can still develop and bring a lot to Newcastle United. Kieran Trippier is 33. Now, this is, like I say, Newcastle's last chance to really sell him for any sort of money. We know he's going to be on big wages. FFP has to be considered. Now, a lot of football fans will just look at this and say, you know, why do we need to bother with FFP? Just keep everyone, blah, blah, blah. These are the same people that are going to be complaining in the summer window why Newcastle have only signed one player instead of 2 or 3. Financial fair play is a massive, massive thing, not just for Newcastle United, but for all of the Premier League. You've seen this window. It's a quiet window, this window. It's probably likely to be that way for most of the window. Newcastle have admitted that they have to stick within this financial fair play, and a lot of effort's going into it. I mean, for me, FFP, it's absolutely no good. It should really stop the people from going bankrupt at the bottom of the leagues and stuff like that. We've seen examples of that throughout the years. It's ridiculous how Man City and these other clubs have kind of creeped through financial fair play, spent a ton, got all of the star players, star manager, all this different stuff, and it's protecting them, the top 4, the top 6. It's almost like a cartel sort of thing where they're protected and there's no real newbies that can come in for any sort of concern. If someone like Newcastle, if say this was another club, come in, they get a money bags owner, they're restricted, they're going to have to grow over a long period of time. It can no longer be done over a short period of time. You need to get 1 or 2 star players in. Then you haven't got Champions League money, so you're fighting with that. If you don't get into Champions League, then like Newcastle are standing at the moment, we don't have that financial income to buy new players. And it goes the other way, where if you've already bought them players in for Champions League, it's now a bit of a panic, because it's a case of you might have to sell some of those players. This is where Newcastle United might be. We've seen that they released a £70 million loss in the last set of accounts. You're only allowed 105 over 3 years. So Newcastle, if they're not there, they're pretty much close to the line. So they have to take financial fair play very serious. This is where the sale of Trippier could, on a boardroom level, just looking at the finances, be beneficial for Newcastle to sell. If it's a case of selling a 33-year-old who's only really going to have 1 season most to really impact Newcastle United, or sell one of the younger players like Botman, like Bruno, like Isak, for me, it's a non-decision. And if it's a case of balancing the books, we need to get rid of some of the deadwood. We can see that Manquillo's already on his way out to Spain. There's not really a lot of sellable assets that Newcastle would really want to sell. All of them deadwood players are not going to fetch in a lot of money and are not going to be on a lot of wages. Now, Kieran Trippier, you'd imagine he's going to be on a big wage. So clearing just that alone off would massively impact Newcastle for financial fair play, and might even allow we'll be able to sign someone this window. But what I want to know is your thoughts. Obviously, football's an opinionated game. Everyone's got their own opinions. We are trying to create a nice little community, an engaging community. So let us know your thoughts. Whatever your thoughts are on the video, let us know below. What would you do if you were the board of Newcastle, and how would you manage financial fair play? Don't forget to like the video as well. There's a massive help for us getting us found in YouTube search results. So much appreciate anyone who could do that. Don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with latest videos, and you can follow our Facebook group, Newcastle Supporters Worldwide, for the breaking Newcastle news. Obviously, we can't do a video every single time, but follow that page and let us know your thoughts and to stay fully up to date on Newcastle United news. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.